Another kind of, I mean, it's not new for you guys, I guess, but the scheduling quirk is always interesting, I think, for us with the way the travel works out. How do you approach a weekend like that? Do you just kind of do your thing in the first matchup and adjust from there? Or what's your guys' game plan going into a weekend like this?
Well, I think the good thing is it gives us different challenges, so we'll adjust to them, but they'll adjust to us. So it's, figuring out new ways to attack them, and, trying to challenge the team to make adjustments as they start adjusting their defense. What are we going to do to counteract that? So I think there's some real opportunities. I think there's some vulnerabilities for sure. But, I think it'll be fun too.
When you think about, that team and the success you guys have had against them, I mean, do you guard against, overconfidence on a weekend like this at all?
Yeah, I think, the relay to the team this week is Providence is a different team than they've been. I mean, I think they're much improved. They've been 10th in the league, and now I think they're, 8th, 7th, 8th, fighting for spots. They're upsetting teams. They're playing teams to 4, sometimes 5 sets on when they used to get swept. And again, that's a commitment that they're having more scholarships. I think it's a testament to their coaches doing a great job, but the institution is committing. I think you'll see Providence really emerge over the next 5 to 10 years as they get the scholarships. You've got to have the horses to be successful. But for sure, I think we will definitely be showing them stats and numbers that this is a far better team than maybe than we've played in the past.
Not to break your one match at a time mantra, but we can do it this weekend since you're playing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I guess you only done it once, obviously, with the doubleheader with this team, but it seemed like the day after they were a little bit more fired up, a little more ready to go from set 1 than maybe they were the first day. How do you?
They were or we were?
They were. So how
Okay.
How do you tell your team should you be successful on day 1 to kind of get them to refocus and do it again the very next day against the very same opponent? Is there a challenge there at all?
Well, I think we'll approach it. We'll do a scouting report again on Saturday, and it'll based off some things that we've seen historically from Providence throughout the year, but then things that we see on Friday night. So we'll just approach it as we're playing a different team, even though the team will obviously be very familiar with it. And then you challenge them. I think we've challenged them all year to step up and be consistent, and we've been up and down on that, and I think we're seeing some progress. I like the direction that we're moving right now, and I like the momentum that we have. But, to be great, you have to be consistent every night. And so that'll be, I think that's pretty similar to the way we approach every match. But, it'll be a little bit different, and who knows, they could, win on Friday or push us to the limit. And so then how do we respond on Saturday?
What do you enjoy more as a coach? The in-game adjustments kind of on the fly, set 1, set 2, set 3, kind of from there? Or do you like putting the game plans together between matches? What is there one or the other that you enjoy more, I guess, at all?
Gosh, I can't say that I love one more than the other. I think, I look back at the Iowa State match this year, and I had said, we lose in 5, but we're running a whole new lineup because Lydia had gone down. And I walked away at that match saying that was one of the most fun matches I've gotten to coach in a long time because you really made an impact. Because every rotation, you're like, hey, try this, try that. And so that was really fun. So that would be in game. And when it's successful, you feel like, hey, we're making a difference. Because honestly, where we feel like usually we make a difference is in the gym during practice. So, you're going to make some, every once in a while you're like, hey, tip here, and then they point at you and you feel really fired up that you contributed. But really, to some degree, once the game starts, it's really on them. And then, I do think we've got a pretty cognitive team. So if we do put a good scouting report together, and sometimes we don't, but if we do put a good one together, I think they listen and try to put it into action. Sometimes we say that they're so literal that you have to be really careful what you put in that scouting report.
Do you feel like there's any part of that process that you are best at or are maybe most successful with, like in putting together a game plan part, or just kind of, hey, I saw this, let's try this? You personally, or you as a staff, is there any one part that maybe you feel really good about when you guys go into a week?
Well, first of all, it's definitely not me. I'm like, we're all watching all the film, and then we'll meet and kind of, the good thing is a lot of times we're on the same pages, but we're discussing what defenses we want to play, where do we want to attack them, things along those lines. I don't know if I could say that I really feel like we're spectacular either offensively or defensively. I think I think we can always get better. The difference this year is we've got an open exchange. So, we always had that in the Big East, but in the non-con, we're going to have, NCAA tournament time. There's going to be a lot more film and a lot more data to use. So, we're trying to make sure we're utilizing that information effectively, to try to be better.
Not sure if you dissected Seton Hall at all, or if you just moved on from it, but just from what you can piece together from that performance, do you feel like that was, one of your more complete performances recently, given the energy you guys played with, how clean it was of a performance, a lot of that stuff you talk about as far as Creighton Volleyball?
Yeah, we did feel that way. I would say DePaul is the last time we did that
Right.
we felt like we did that for an entire match. And from watching film, I would feel that way, that yes, that we put together an entire match. St. John's, we played 2 relatively lousy first games, but then play well,
Yeah.
So again, you're not going to beat great teams by not bringing it every single game. So it was good to see that transfer in Seton Hall to do it consistently.
The month of October, I think you've said that you win championships in October. If I'm misquoting you, I apologize. But since your first NBC title in 2012, I think you're 44-5 in the month of October, even better in November. What's been the key to being so successful in those months? I guess when you're facing teams that have the most familiarity with you compared to anyone else that you play the rest of the season.
Well, I think first of all, we've got really outstanding young women, and I think that is the biggest issue, that they come in and practice hard and they take every match, they get up for every single match. I think that's where, if you only get up for the big matches that people are talking about, you're going to drop matches, and I think they understand the importance of each match. The other thing is we try to make sure our psyche's good, and you can't always make sure that happens, but we make that a priority because I think so much is mental at the end of the season. And then physically, we try to take care of bodies. So those are things that are priorities within our program. And then, we're really locked into where can we get better, not only for this weekend, but for long term. So those are some of the things that we try to do, and a lot of different programs do the same things or maybe have different things that they focus on throughout the end of the year. But we talk a lot about peaking in mid-November, so it's about getting better right now, so we're playing our best at the end.
Do you feel confident this group is doing the right things on that path? Because, since day one of this season, everybody's been talking about the Final Four, Kansas City, going one step further, all that, and they kind of haven't really been asking you as much about, the Big East tournament title banner and all the ones that have to go through the 2 month. The majority of your season, I guess, is based on battling Big East teams for that title.
Sure, and I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. I think you've got a group of 13 young women that want to be great, and I've never wavered on that. I think we've had some ups and downs, but I really do feel like we're moving in the right direction. I think we've got really good leadership. I think we have some specific things that we need to get better at, that we think we can get better at, and that's key. Sometimes you have things that you're not good at and you're like,
Sure.
This is kind of what it is, but I feel like we can get better at those things. So I think our psyche's in a good place, which is really big. So I'm optimistic, but you never know. Things can happen, and but I feel like, comparatively, do I feel like, comparing past years, do I feel like we're in a good place? Absolutely.
What you mentioned before, that having things to work on is maybe can be a good thing, because as opposed to trying to make something up that you think is a flaw but not really, to have things in October, sitting here almost Halloween, that you can still work on and still get better at, does that help you keep everybody hungry and things like that, if there are things to actually improve on?
Yeah, but I think always you feel like there's things
really?
to improve on.
normal coach
I think the
everybody.
good thing is that, the Big East is better this year. I'm not just saying that. You look statistically, the RPI is, I think Rob just put something out that it's the 7th best league in the country out of 30-some leagues. So, we are being challenged more than we were last year, and I think that's good for us. And I think it's pushing us mentally a little bit more than last year, which, there's good challenges and bad challenges to that, but I've liked how we've responded.
You mentioned how you guys want to peak in mid-November and all that. Through your time as a coach, have you had to learn, like, all right, I can't push these girls this much at this time of year, or this is the week where I really have to push them? Or is it just different team by team on when you can really push their buttons in practice?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a calendar that this is the week that we taper and things along those lines. It is kind of a feel of, each team. Again, so much of it's mental as compared to physical. Like what's our frame of mind? Again, what's going on academically? Are we on, we're going to be on the road a lot at the end of the year. So rest within that's going to be really key. Fortunately, we're chartering several of those trips. So I think those things will help. But I think each year we're trying to, evaluate each team as compared to a cookie cutter of, a calendar of when we do things.
kind of a unique weekend when you head out somewhere for 2 matches in the same spot. I mean, what do you guys, prepare or think about, when you go out on a trip like this? And it's not something that, you're used to, I guess, very much.
Right. I think it's part of an advantage too, because we don't have to play one game and then bounce over to the next scout for the next day. So I think it's nice to get to see them a night before and then play our game and then kind of adjust there to the same kind of scout, but play a little bit better for our game as well, just to take care of business 2 nights in a row. So I think it's actually an advantage, and we're ready to get our travel buddies out of our schedule and get caught up with the rest of Big East. So yeah, we're ready to go.
How is it, asking Coach a little bit about it, do you feel like there's, the game planning before a game is something that they're really good at, or in game? Is one better than the other, or what do you think they really are best at as a coaching staff? Maybe the in-game stuff, or the scout going into a game?
I feel like both are pretty equal. I feel like as a coaching staff and a team as a whole, we're very focused from Tuesday till Friday of when we're playing. So it always is focused on the end goal of winning that game and breaking down the team or the opponent that we're playing. But I feel like we've never gone into a game feeling ill-prepared by any means, and I feel like we trust our coaching staff immensely to make us so we're prepared for our side of the court and theirs as well, just to know what's going on. So, but playing on our toes and making adjustments quickly in the game is always something that they're ready for too. And after 5 points, even in a game, we can totally switch up what was scout, because teams are scouting us back just as well. So they're going to change things up that we're not seeing prior to that anyway. So coaches see that, and it's different for them to be on the bench and be able to see what we're doing and what they're doing back to us. So it's easy to trust them and listen to them on the fly during games as well to set us up for success. So.
Seemed like a really clean performance, but it also seemed like you did a lot of things as far as running the open points, things you guys have been talking about for the past few weeks, the past month. I mean, Seton Hall was doing some things on the other side that maybe kind of bring that fire out of you, but do you feel like you guys played one of the best matches this weekend, even though you guys really know you've lost your level?
Right.
You got to go in it.
Right. Seton Hall was fun. I think that was the biggest part of it. It was pink out. There was a good fan base. I mean, always is here. But on top of that, our focus last week was really defense and flying around and being that scrappy team that makes the game fun to watch and fun to play for us. So I think just tuning in on that point one made the game so much more fun and high energy, and really brought us to a higher level of volleyball. And it was fun that it was consistent through 3 sets, all 3 sets. So yeah, I mean, defense being the focus adds another level to your game. So I think doing that this weekend during Seton Hall made it even better. So.
What you're capable of, I guess. I know, to start the season, everybody was talking about Kansas City, going a step further, all that sort of thing. But the process of it, you still have to get better at things that this team is good at the season. Do you know where your ceilings at as a group? Do you getting close to that as October goes on?
I personally don't think that we found our niche yet. I don't think that we've peaked, which is a good thing, because we don't need to peak until November. Coach always says that. So I think that we saw what we were capable of in August, which was amazing, and still working through things and injuries, and the stretch of October is always hard. But I know that we don't just talk the talk, we're ready to walk the walk, but taking one game at a time and getting better in the gym every single day is important. But I don't think that we've seen our top potential yet, which is super exciting. So I think we're really close to getting there, but it's coming. It's on its way. So it's fun.